All right, good morning. My name's Steve Graham. I'm with FIA. It's July 26th, and we're going to do a training on the Lochinvar Armor water heaters here. These are a water tube condensing water heater. So the flow is from the tank to the heater's inlet. The cold water is going to also come into that line into the inlet of the heater, and then we've got a return going back to the tank. When the tank temperature drops, it's going to power the heater up, and it's still tank satisfied. So it's pretty simple. On the side of each unit, there's a tag that has the model number and serial number. I highly recommend that if you have to come here for anything, that you take your smartphone and you take a picture of that, because you want to be sitting down someplace if you're going to talk to somebody. And on the screen, there's a lot of information, but if you come in and you see the screen is red, that means it's locked out. That means it has to be manually reset. The reset button's right here. Before you try resetting it, take a picture of the screen, because it's plain English. It tells you what it locked out for. So if you have a lockout, which I don't anticipate you will, you get a picture of what it locked out on, get a picture of the tag, and then you get something to talk to somebody about. You can call my office, you can call Lochinvar, and also in the front panel, there's a service manual. There is troubleshooting in this manual. So you can go into it and you can find the error message, and it'll tell you what to first look for. If you call the factory and the guy's reading the same thing you are, call back, because he's new. So anyways, but these should all be right here. There's a parts list, there's an installation manual, and the service manual. These units need to be cleaned annually. They are a water tube unit, so to clean them involves taking this bezel off, breaking the connection at the fan with the gas valve and the air, unbolting this and taking the whole assembly right off. There are kits available that Lochinvar packages, which have a plastic brush on a mandrel inside of it. You put those in your drill, and you basically clean around the coils, flush it out. You disconnect your condensate drain and let it all flush out into your drain out here. Okay. Each of these units is equipped with a condensate neutralizer. That neutralizer should probably be recharged twice a year. These will do up to 3 gallons, 3.5 gallons an hour of condensate when they're in full condensing mode, which they're going to be 99% of the time. So you want to pay attention to that, because if you're not treating the condensate, it will eat that drain up. All right. As I said, on the screen, it tells you a lot of information. This is your leader. This has the tank sensor attached to it. It's going to tell you what your target temperature is 140. It's going to tell you what the tank temperature is stored at right now. It's going to give you inlet and outlet temperatures, and it says it's in standby right now, but if it fires up, it will tell you what the firing rate of the boiler, and it'll tell you what temperature it's putting out. So you can look at this. It's also good information, because you go to screen 2, it's going to tell you what your flue temperature is. It's going to tell you if your domestic hot water pump is calling, if it's on. If you see that it's on this screen and that pump isn't running, then you've either blown a fuse or the pump's gone. So this is going to give you your flame current in microamps, and you should see it 100%. It's in double digits. It's above 10. That's right on time. So if you see that this microamp reading at full fire is 8 or 9, then you need to be looking for a new flame sensor and a new igniter. I'd recommend you got 2 of these units here, and I know you got at least 6 others around here that you have a sensor and an igniter. It's short money, and it'll just save you a trip the day that you need it. So this is firing right now at 30%, and you can see this. The signal is rising. It's 8.4, and by the time it gets up to 100, it'll be probably 12 to 14. It's going to tell you what your fan speed is as it relates to the firing rate. You can get the number of run hours and the number of cycles off of this screen. And there is a fault screen. Like when you flip it through to the 5th screen, it'll say last 10 faults. So it'll give you fault number 1. And if it's like flame failure ignition, and then if you hit this button down, it'll go to number 2 if there is a number 2, etc. 3, 4, 5, all the way through. So that's good information for you to have. That's going to be what shows up on the screen when it's red. And then you've got the cascade screen. These 2 units are cascaded together. They've got a 3-wire shielded cascade. And what that means is you've got a leader and you've got a member. They will alternate after 40 hours of runtime. And you'll be surprised at how close at the end of a year the runtime on these 2 units is. It's generally within 10%. But when you look at this, it's going to say 0 and 1 are present. So that means that we're seeing both boilers. This is 0, this is 1, and if it's flashing, it's running. So if you see something flashing and it's not running, then that's a problem. And then just back to the main screen. All your high voltage is in here. There is a service switch on the back. This is your low voltage board. There's bus fuses, extra bus fuses. There's 3 bus fuses on the processor that's underneath this cover. To get to here, you pop this off. There's a nut on a piece of rod that comes up. You just back it off. Take these off over here and just lift it up and slide it out. Let's see. That's really about all there is to it. The water tubes in these units are individual tubes. Each one is welded to a supply and a return header. So here's your return header, here's your supply header, and they're each welded. So you have a flue passageway in between the units, and this fan has to blow your byproducts of combustion out. If those passageways get filled up and it can't do it, you can have some problems. So that's why it's important to clean it. I'd say to clean one of these is hour and a half, 2 hours tops. Do a nice job. Anybody have any questions?
Do we have to be concerned about the water that's going to get trapped in the combustion air pipe there?
The water that's going to get trapped in the combustion air pipe.
Yeah, this is the low point. It's going to fill up to here. Sit there.
No, you shouldn't have any.
Could you repeat the question for us?
Yeah, he asked if they should be concerned about water being trapped down here. If the water gets this far, your fan's going to suck it in anyway. Because your fan is pulling in, this is like an open-ended system. Your fan's pulling air in here, right into here through a venturi. You've got a gas valve that's a solenoid valve. That snaps open. The fan pulls the air and gas through, down the arm into the burner. The burner runs the length of the heat exchanger. And like I said, then it propels it out through the exhaust and out of your building. So it is an open-ended system. So I don't anticipate you'll have an issue with that. I haven't had that be a problem, so. Any other questions? Okay. Oh, one other thing. As I mentioned before, if you're going to do work on these, if you're going to do a cleaning, if you go to Lochinvar's website, www.lochinvar.com, and you go up to trainings, there are tutorials available. So you can go in and you can look at this and you can see what needs to be done before you come down here and start pulling it apart and just refresh your memory. So, okay? All right, good.
Thank you.
You're welcome.